Hey everybody, it's April Henry coming to you for another Facebook Live. I'm using their new producer, which I do not like, but it makes you do it. So I'm going to be talking today about first person. You can watch all my previous ones on my website, aprilhenry.com, or on my YouTube channel, which is also called April Henry. This is a little bit disconcerting right now. The screen keeps flashing. Perhaps it's Facebook's way of letting me know that I am live. So today's shirt it's actually from a company called Kenka, but it is designed by Mirkatsu. Um, so today I'm going to be talking about first person, and I am going to be talking about third person tomorrow, and I'm even going to read you samples from my brand new book that I've been working on, trying to decide whether it should be in first or third person. So, um, who do you choose to tell your story? If a long time ago I was eating a meal in a restaurant and I was having a great time, and I looked over, and about 5 feet away from me, there was another woman eating what happened to be the exact same entree, and she was having a terrible time. And I thought, you could tell that she was very distraught about something. And I thought if we each told this story, we would tell it in a completely different way. Um, because our perceptions would be changed by the emotions that we're bringing to it. Whatever terrible thing had happened to her was probably making the food taste awful and making the ambiance uh, distraught. distraught. And for me, I would look at things in a much happier light. So I always think about who is the most important character in the story, what point of view is going to be give me the best advantage. It doesn't necessarily have to be the person that everything is happening to. Um, but I often think of who has the most to lose in the story, and that's whose point of view that I want to use. And point of view changes everything. Imagine a car accident where the police show up and they start interviewing people. And how would what they hear differ depending on who they talk to? Like if they talk to the person whose car was demolished by a drunk driver, or they talk to if they could, the passenger who wasn't wearing a seatbelt and went through the windshield. If they talk to the drunk driver, if they talk to the person standing on the street corner who witnessed it, if they talk to the paramedics who helped the woman who went through the windshield, or if they interviewed the firefighters who had to use the jaws of life to get the innocent person out of the car that was demolished. They would all tell the story in a different way. So, one thing that we need to think about is that you need to stay in the head of the person that you are using as your point of view. Um, People will often sneak things in thinking that they need the reader to know. So, like if I write, I run my hands through my black curly hair, that I do not think those things. I do not think about black. I might think about curly, like my hand snags on a curl, but I read a book one time where the author had written tears ran down his chiseled face, and I thought that's supposed to be it was supposed to be very close to his point of view, and I thought that is not how he would think. He would not think I have a chiseled face. So, um, and uh, if you're going to be thinking about writing in first, I think the strongest reason to write in first person is if your character has a strong voice and a unique worldview. Um, uh, it's easier to explain what a character is thinking and why they act like they do. It gives a feeling of immediacy. Um, it's a good choice, especially if it's mostly about a character's emotional journey. And if something happens, or many young adult editors prefer the book to be written in first person, unless you have a good reason not to. Why not write in first person? Um, it's sometimes easier to fall into cliches. Think of all the first person detective novels about the hard boiled detective. Um, if your book is really plot driven as opposed to character driven, it might be a little bit more of a struggle. And if something happens to the main character that is very traumatic, sometimes first person might feel too close and it might be easier to write it in third person. So here I'm going to end with an example of something that I have been trying out. My new book is about a group of teens who are trapped at a scary old hotel during a blizzard, which is totally inspired by last year. I was trapped at a scary old hotel and during a blizzard. So this is the first chapter written in third person. Sunday morning, how many dead? Chapter 1. A scream trailed behind Nell Basden like a spent comet. The still air absorbed it as if it had never been. With her hand over her mouth, Nell stared down at the body she had almost tripped over. In the last 36 hours, she had seen far too many bodies, parts of bodies, bodies and blood. How many dead now? She'd lost track. Had it only been 36 hours since the Ouija board had tried to warn them, since they shivered and clutched each other when they learned about the old murders, hidden around corners and then jumped out at each other, laughing when people shrieked? Now it was all deadly serious. On Friday night, 14 of them had flirted and laughed, and a few of them had kissed. Now it was Sunday morning, and there was no guarantee that any of them would be alive to see Sunday night. Pulling off her glove, Nell made herself touch the side of the pale throat. She rolled her fingertips until she found the dip that held the carotid artery. Wait, there. She stopped breathing. Did she feel the faintest flutter? Okay, so that's the whole thing in third person. But I started thinking, this book only is going to be from just Nell's point of view. So what if I rewrote it in first? And it did change some things. It made me use different words. You can't just to change from third to first. You don't just go and change all the she's to I's. It should change the way it sounds. So this is how it sounds in first person. Sunday morning, how many dead? Chapter 1. A scream trails behind me like a spent comet. The still air absorbs it completely, like it never happened. Did anyone else hear it? I pressed my hand over a man mouse, staring down at the body I almost tripped over. It's half hidden by a low bush. In the last 36 hours, I've seen so many bodies, bodies and blood. Blood splashed on walls, pooled under still forms, and here, staining the snow like a scarlet halo. How many dead now? I've lost track. Was it only Friday night that a blizzard stranded us, 13 high school students, at this old hotel in the middle of nowhere? When we flirted and laughed and a few of us even kissed? Now it's Sunday morning, and there's no guarantee anyone will be alive by sunset. Come on, Nell, I whispered to myself. Get it together. Pulling off my glove, I make myself touch the cool skin on the side of the pale throat. I roll my fingertips until I find the dip that holds the carotid artery. Wait. There. I stopped breathing. Did I just feel the faintest flutter? So that's the same thing, only told in first person. And Peggy McMullen has just commented that first person does allow for an unreliable narrator, which can give your story a different twist, which is absolutely true. It's harder to pull off hiding things in third person because you feel like that's supposed to be more of an authoritative source, and they're not picking and choosing what truths to tell you as a first person might do. So that's it for tomorrow, or today. I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, when I will be talking about third person and when to choose that. And I will later on post both versions of first and third of this first chapter that I'm working on. You guys have a great day. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Bye-bye.